Jack Smith responds to Donald Trump's motion for sanctions by saying, dude, get real. Well, I'm paraphrasing, but let's discuss. I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, aka the Florida Lawman, here on the MeidasTouch Network. I want to thank everyone for all your views, your likes, and your comments. I try to read them all. I appreciate this community very much. So let's discuss why Jack Smith had to set Donald Trump straight in a recent pleading where Donald Trump had tried to get Judge Chutkan to levy sanctions against Smith because Jack Smith violated the stay of the proceedings in Washington, D.C. So what happened is that Jack Smith filed the 4-count indictment against Donald Trump. And what happened was Donald Trump tried to delay matters because that's his strategy. And one of his ways of delaying it was to ask Judge Chutkan to give him presidential immunity, absolute immunity for anything he did while he was president. Judge Chutkan said nope. And then Trump appealed to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. And while the appeal was pending, Judge Chutkan issued a stay, meaning a pause of all the proceedings. Jack Smith, however, is always one step ahead. Jack Smith sent Donald Trump discovery, meaning some evidence in the case, so Trump can see it. These are disclosures that prosecutors must give. He sent Trump an exhibit list. He even made a motion for a motion in limine. A motion in limine is to prevent Trump from going into irrelevant details at the trial, preventing him from saying crazy things like Jack Smith is politically motivated and Joe Biden is directing Smith to prosecute Trump, and that Smith's wife is a Democrat and so therefore he should be taken off the case. I mean, crazy stuff like Hugo Chavez's ghost is the reason why the election was stolen, and that's why Trump was doing what he did. So Jack Smith has done all these things while the stay is in effect. So Donald Trump is saying, no, 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 sanction him. And this is where it gets really interesting. First, Trump is saying you cannot file motions while the stay is in effect. But how did Trump do it? He's doing it by filing a motion. So essentially, he is filing a motion to say you cannot file motions. Okay, you see the irony there. So Donald Trump is saying that Jack Smith is playing politics with this motion, which is crazy because Trump's whole strategy is to play politics with all of this. He goes out and he condemns Smith and goes after judges, prosecutors. He tries to win this in the court of public opinion while Jack Smith does his talking in the pleadings, in the four corners of his documents. So it really is the pot calling the kettle black when Donald Trump is accusing Jack Smith of being political here by filing these motions. But Smith is one step ahead because he's filing these motions for a few reasons. Number one, he wants to get ready when the stay is lifted because Trump is not going to get presidential immunity here for his crimes. There is no such thing. We do not have a king. We have a president. This is why we left the crown. So Trump is going to lose on the question of absolute presidential immunity. He'll lose at the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, who I believe will then remove the stay and it goes back to Judge Chutkan and it's game on. I think the Supreme Court will then defer to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals ruling here. This is a no-brainer. But Trump's intent is to win by losing. What he wants to do is to delay matters. And if he can delay it bit by bit, then the case that he is most scared of, which is this case in Washington, D.C. for election interference, will then get pushed to past after the election. So that's what he's trying to do. He wants this case to be tried after the election. When he thinks he'll be president, then he can order his attorney general to end it all. That's a strategy. He doesn't have a good defense. As far as the other cases, they are likely not going to go until after the election with the possibility of the New York Stormy Daniels case. But this case, the D.C. election interference case, is the greatest existential threat to Trump's future freedom, and Trump knows it. The funniest thing about this is that Donald Trump and his legal team are saying that they're going to pull a Raiders of the Lost Ark and we're going to refuse to open up their eyes and look at the glow of these documents. They're going to tie themselves to the mast and blindfold themselves and whatnot. You don't really believe that, do you? You don't really believe they're going to ignore this valuable discovery on their doorstep or the exhibit list or the motion in limine. No, they want to get every advantage. And so they'll say they're not looking at it, but we know better. In fact, this reminds me of people who order, at a restaurant, say they order like burger and fries. And when the fries come, they say, no, I wanted curly fries. And so while the waiter is gone, they're eating the regular fries in front of them. And so the waiter comes back and, the regular fries are gone. And now they get the curly fries as well. So that's the kind of shenanigans that Donald Trump is going to be playing here. No, I'm not going to read it. Yeah, they will. And they're going to try to get every advantage possible. But Jack Smith remains one step ahead. And you can tell by the language in his response to the motion for sanctions. In Jack Smith's response, he says, nothing here requires any action by the defendant. And he, meaning Trump, fails to explain how the mere receipt of discovery materials that he is not obligated to review or the early filing of government pleadings to which he does not yet need to respond possibly burdens him. And it's true, there's nothing that stops a prosecutor from providing information early. There's nothing that stops a prosecutor from filing motions early. And if Judge Chutkan had an issue with it, she would tell the prosecution to stop doing it. She hasn't done so yet. She's not going to do so. In fact, Trump knows he's going to lose this motion for sanctions, just like he knows he's going to lose his request for presidential immunity. So why is he doing it? He's doing it for three reasons. First, Trump is trying to slow this case down. He wants lots of paperwork. He wants lots of disputes. He doesn't want a trial. Second, this is a way for Donald Trump to respond publicly to Jack Smith, who really had the stage all to himself. When this stay occurred and Jack Smith filed his exhibits and his discovery and his motion in limine, he was able to get press coverage and really a microphone that was just Jack Smith. Donald Trump was not able to respond because he said, we can't respond. It's a stay. Well, this is his way of saying, yeah, it's a stay and we can't respond, but I'm going to respond anyways. And if you do a Google search, you'll see there have been a bunch of articles about Trump's motion for sanctions, even though it's not going to happen. But he got what he wanted out of it by getting a chance to respond and getting the 24-hour news cycle in his favor. But it's not going to last. And that brings me to the third reason. The third reason is that Trump is playing for the next call. If you're a fan of sports, you know that coaches will yell at refs, not thinking that the ref is going to reverse the call, but they're playing for the next call. They want to get in the ref's head to think that they're going to soften the ref up for a future call. And I think this is an attempt by Trump to try to get future favorable decisions from Judge Chutkan, knowing he's going to lose this one. But if he complains loud enough that maybe when he wants an extension later, he'll get it. Maybe if he then can complain to Judge Chutkan saying, I haven't reviewed these documents. You know why we haven't reviewed these documents. Don't make me go to trial any sooner than I need to. So this is trying to play for future calls. But look, none of this is going to work. This case in Washington, D.C. is a really strong one. Not to mention the substance of the case, but also look at the jury pool. You're dealing with Washington, D.C., where it is amongst the bluest places anywhere. I mean, they gave Trump 5% of the vote in 2020. So the jury pool is going to be really bad for Trump, not to mention the substance. I mean, we're at the 3-year anniversary of January 6th, and Donald Trump is going to be put on trial for the first time about his actions relating to January 6th, his attempts to overturn the election. And Jack Smith has made this a tight, limited case because it's built for speed. Only 4 counts, no co-defendants, and he's got a judge who ain't messing around in Judge Tanya Chutkan. So stay tuned. That's the latest. I'm Dave Aronberg, State Attorney for Palm Beach County, aka the Florida Lawman. If you like this video, please like it and I'll see you next time.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.